สนับสนุนโดย Exim Bank สนับสนุนมากกว่าการส่งออกโทร 026172111 เพื่อขอบฟ้าไทยกว้างไกลกว่าเดิมการบินไทย
Thai, you have done mindfulness training for American congressmen before. Now you could do mindfulness training for scientists all over the world.
I think many scientists have come to our retreats. And I think it is good to have retreats among scientists discussing the Buddhist way, the Buddhist spirit, and that can inspire them a lot because they are very eager to seek for a new way.
What about politicians?
Politicians, many of them have attended our retreat. We have offered a retreat for congressmen in Washington, D.C. We have offered a talk in Indian National Assembly. And many of them know how to practice mindful walking, mindful breathing in order to minimize their stress, their worries. And they all profit from the teaching.
I'm trying to think of ways of applying your mindfulness training to politicians in Thailand. How do we make them better politicians? How do we make them less corrupt and make them more devoted to their public service?
How to make them happier? Happier people.
Happier people. Do you think mindfulness training is possible for cleaning up politics as well?
I think for politicians, we have to talk to them about their own suffering because they have a lot of suffering in them, worries and stress. If you want to help them, first come and talk to them about their suffering. Show them that you understand the suffering and you have ways in order to help them. You are a Buddhist monk or you are just a lay person or you are a non-Buddhist, it's okay. But you have to show them that you see their suffering and you have the way to help them. And with that kind of new language, that kind of new practice, you help them to suffer less right away while you talk to them. And then you draw them into the practice.
First help them.
Yeah, but the practice of devotion can help them a little bit, but not much.
No.
So the same thing is true with businessmen and others. And I think we should have monastics and lay people who know how to talk to these politicians and businessmen. I think 5 or 10 minutes are enough to help them to recognize their own suffering.
Really?
And to see that there is a way out of the suffering. And you don't need to urge them. They go ask you. They go stick to you and ask for the way out. Because they suffer so much. So you work on yourself first. You have to train yourself first. So I propose that you set up a Buddhadasa Institute of Applied Buddhism. And you train monastics and lay people to be Dharma teachers, having that capacity of talking to politicians and businessmen, and offer them real practice so that they can suffer less. And that is applied Buddhism, that is new Buddhism that we need. And if these people succeed, and then every other people will follow them and practice Buddhism, and thus we can renew Buddhism.
But back in Thailand, most Buddhists would think that the way to go to heaven is to make merits. Go to temples, give money, give materials to monks. The more you give to monks, the more the chances of going to heaven after you die. That's why some politicians think that they don't have to practice any Buddhist precepts. They just have to make merits by giving alms, money to the monks. How do we change that thinking or attitude?
We might ask them questions like whether they believe that heaven exists.
Well, they certainly do. They think that after they die, they will go, if they make enough merits, they will go up to the top part of the heaven.
Maybe sometime they can ask the question. They may ask the question as whether the heaven exists. Yes. So teach them, tell them that according to the teaching of the Buddha, it is possible to live happily in the here and the now, yes. And ask them whether they want to suffer less now, whether they want to be happy right here and right now. And if they do, there are ways in order to do that, yes. To be happy in the here and the now. Yes. Because the teaching of Dittha Dhamma Sukha Vihara, yes. Is very clear, yes. To invest into the future. Like to be reborn in the Pure Land or to be reborn in the heavens, so it's against that kind of teaching. Yes. You are seeking happiness in the future. You are not seeking happiness right in the here and the now. Right. So these are intelligent people, educated people. They can understand. Let's forget heaven for a few minutes. Yes. Let's address the life here now. Do you think that there is a lot of suffering here? Can we do something in order to reduce the suffering in the here and the now, so that we can enjoy more our time on earth? Yes. And they will be interested, and you can bring the Dharma in.
Perhaps the teachings of Dharma in our culture has not been able to penetrate that misconception about heaven, about here and now.
In fact, heaven is here and now. Yes. If we know how to practice the Dhamma correctly, heaven can be found in here and now. We don't need to die and not to reborn in heaven.
Buddha has been teaching that.
Good. Yes. So just use that teaching. You see that when you bring them out for walking meditation, yes. You see that if you know how to be mindful of every step, if you know how to concentrate, and then the place where you are walking become heaven. And they will understand, because the life is full of wonders, yes. Inside of you and around you. Now if you just practice mindfulness and concentration, yes. You release your suffering, you release your worries, and you practically enjoy all the wonders of life that are available. And heaven is here and now. That is very practical, yes. Realistic. So dreaming of a heaven in the future might not very realistic. And they, with their modern education, they can accept.
We have to convince them that they cannot bribe their way to heaven.
Yes. And for Westerners, I always tell them that the kingdom of God is now, yes. Or never. If you are truly there in the here and the now with freedom, yes. And then the wonders of life manifest themselves, and you are walking and sitting in the kingdom of God, yes. In heaven. Yes. And I think that many Christians have been able to understand that. And that is the best thing we can offer to Christianity. Heaven, the kingdom of God, is available in the here and the now. The kingdom is now or never. So you tell them heaven is now or never.
So they would avoid what they fear is to go to hell after their death.
Tell them that hell is now also. It's now also. If they don't know how to recognize the anger, the jealousy, the despair, that's hell already. Hell is now or never. So if they are experiencing hell, yes. And then tell them that there is a way to go to the other shore, practice the Dharma, and you leave hell and you go to the other shore, the shore of heaven.
Now you have been studying Buddha-Tasa's teachings as well. What do you think of him?
He's a great teacher, and that is a jewel of Thai Buddhism. Yes. And you should make full use of his teaching.
แล้วก็ต้องการให้ทุกคนมองเห็นว่าธรรมะคือหน้าที่หรือให้เห็นว่าหน้าที่นั่นแหละคือธรรมะที่แล้วมาหรือที่เป็นอยู่ก็ตามคนไม่ได้คิดว่าหน้าที่คือธรรมะเขาก็ทำหน้าที่เพราะความจำเป็นบังคับ เพราะว่าถ้าไม่ทำไม่มีอะไรจะกินมันก็เลยทำหน้าที่ด้วยความจำเป็นบังคับมันก็ฝืนความรู้สึกมันก็มีความทุกข์พลางทำหน้าที่พลางอย่างนี้เราเรียกว่าตกนรกไปพลางทำงานไปพลางตกนรกไปพลางทำงานไปพลางไม่น่าชื่นใจอะไรขอให้คนที่ทำหน้าที่ทั้งหลายเหล่านี้รู้เสมอว่าไอ้หน้าที่นะคือตัวธรรมะไอ้หน้าที่ก็คือสิ่งที่จะช่วยคนเรารอดไอ้หน้าที่ก็คือสิ่งที่จะช่วยคนเรารอดเพราะว่ามันเป็นสิ่งเดียวกันคำว่าพระเจ้าช่วยให้รอดเราบอกว่าหน้าที่ต่างหากจะช่วยให้รอดถ้าไม่ทำหน้าที่แล้วพระเจ้าสักกี่พระเจ้าก็ช่วยไม่ได้
หลายท่านคงอยากจะทราบนะครับว่าชีวิตที่หมู่บ้านพลัมเป็นอย่างไรโดยเฉพาะสำหรับคฤหัสถ์อย่างพวกเราสัปดาห์หน้าครับผมจะเล่าให้ฟังว่าชีวิตของคนบ้าข่าวอย่างผมที่ปกติจะต้องยุ่งวุ่นวายกับความเป็นไปทุกวินาทีของข่าวสารถ้าผมจะต้องถูกใช้ชีวิตที่หมู่บ้านพลัมที่ไม่สามารถจะติดต่อข่าวสารได้และต้องทำสมาธิชีวิตแปลกและแตกต่างจากที่เป็นอยู่อย่างไรต้องตื่นตี 4เรียนรู้สติทุกลมหายใจนั้นเป็นอย่างไรสัปดาห์หน้ากลับมาติดตามนะครับแล้วท่านจะรู้ครับว่าทุกลมหายใจของเรามีคุณค่าขนาดไหนสัปดาห์หน้าอย่าลืมนะครับชีพจรโลกกลับมาพบกันวันอังคาร 5 ทุ่มเศษทางช่อง 9 แห่งนี้ครับวันนี้เวลาหมดแล้วลาไปก่อนครับสวัสดีครับ
Happiness is here and now I have dropped my worries nowhere to go nothing to do no longer in a hurry happiness is here and now I have dropped my worries somewhere to go